We all know that why questions address the real meat of the matter. That is, they aim for justification, synthesis, and higher level thinking. Yet often when we ask these, we don't get the insight we're after. Instead, we find confusion, defensiveness, and even silence. The problem isn't the goal of the why question, it's the unnecessary complexity and ambiguity it adds to the process. Today, I'm going to break down the most difficult question in the world for you and show you why you should stop asking why and ask what instead. Why questions are important, but they demand a cognitive leap that many people are simply not ready for. This can be broken down into 4 key components. Why demands justification and defense. As soon as you ask, why did you do that? You put the other person on the defensive. Thinking shuts down and self-preservation kicks in. Why ask for transfer? To answer why, you have to abstract a principle from one area and apply it to a new situation. This is a complex skill that psychologists call high road transfer. Why requires a higher cognitive load. Answering why means holding multiple variables in your working memory at once. Economic factors, political history, social pressures, and often this can be too much. Why is often ambiguous and requires interpretation. Why is this significant? It's a question that is very open-ended and can have many possibilities to it. This becomes the challenge, that it lacks the specificity needed to be able to answer this succinctly. So how do we get that justification, that synthesis, and that high-level thinking without that breakdown? We pave the way. That is, it is our responsibility to make deep thinking accessible by changing the question from a single, overwhelming jump to a sequence of manageable, supportive steps. We exchange why for what, and this perfectly aligns with many educational frameworks. Think about Bloom's taxonomy, which classifies thinking skills. A simple why immediately jumps past the base levels, remembering and understanding, and slams the person into the analysing or evaluating tiers. By contrast, a what sequence starts small and builds up. It also directly addresses the solo taxonomy, which tracks the complexity of a learner's response. A struggling learner might be stuck at the unistructural stage, only able to state one isolated idea, but a proper what sequence forces them to the multistructural stage, listing several ideas before they can reach the desired relational stage, where they can explain the why. The key aspect is to allow a natural progression of understanding. If the why is getting in the way, change it to a what. To implement this, we use a simple, memorable 4-step framework, R.O.S.E, or R.O.S.E. To put this into context, instead of asking the big ambiguous question of why did this project fail, instead you guide the thinking through an accessible sequence of what questions. R. What are 3 reasons why the project missed the deadline? This uses the what to facilitate analysis and to push the learner to the multistructural level. They just have to list the components. O, or opinion. In your opinion, what reason is the most likely to explain the situation? Now we're asking them to evaluate, but only after they've clearly identified the options. They are the ones making a conscious judgment. S, or significance. What is the significance of this particular reason on our team's performance? This asks them to make relational connections, exploring the impact and consequences of their prioritized reason. E, or evidence. What evidence do you have to support that choice? The final and most crucial step. They must now substantiate their claim with facts, logs, or data. They've built their case from the ground up. And by the time they finish the R.O.S.E sequence, they haven't just answered why, they've built an evidence-based argument. And they've been able to do this without the initial stigma or the pressure that comes from the why question. The goal is never to avoid the big questions. The goal is to make them solvable. If you're a teacher, a manager, a coach, or just someone trying to understand a complex idea, stop demanding the answer to why right away. Instead, guide the process by asking what. And once I've completed the R.O.S.E framework, the reason, the opinion, the significance, and that evidence, there is one more question I'd like you to have up your sleeve to help broaden and deepen that thinking. What else? The path to expertise is built with small, specific questions, and they just happen to start with what.